not much. How about you? I'm not sure why I called. I guess I really just wanted to talk to you. And I was thinking maybe later on we could get together for a while. It's been such a long time and I really do miss your smile. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. We could go walking through Windy Park, take a drive along the beach, or stay at home and watch TV. You see, it really doesn't matter much to me. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. I won't ask for promises, so you don't have to lie. We both played that game before. Say I love you, then say goodbye. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight. I'm not talking about moving in, and I don't want to change your life, but there's a warm wind blowing the stars around, and I'd really love to see you tonight.
Welcome to John Lee Rants About Stuff. And today we're going to rant about the vocation of marriage. Marriage, it's a beautiful thing. It's when when a man proposes to a woman because he wants to give himself up entirely to her, and she accepts because she wants to give herself up entirely to him. It is uniting two people with Christ. You know, traditionally, in the vocation of marriage, the wife, the bride, and then why am I forgetting it? The groom and the bride, and I forgot the terms there for a hot second. The bride and the groom's hands, they're joined together over a crucifix, which they will receive when they're married, and the priest wraps. I'm forgetting what the garment is called, but it's the thing that they have like around their neck that kind of like drapes to their waist. He takes it and wraps it around their hands, unifying them in the vocation of marriage, which is just so beautiful. It's basically two fleshes become one. It's uniting two people to become one in God. And it's just so beautiful and awesome, the vocation of marriage. People just think, oh, okay, I'll spend the rest of my life with this person until death do us part, and oh, if they cheat on me or I cheat on them, then we'll just get a divorce. The thing is, in the Catholic Church and in the Catholic faith, there is no such thing as divorce. There is only annulment. And to think that you would propose to someone just to leave them so, like, a bit later, just because, let me reword that. To propose to someone just to leave them for some whore and for some slut is moronic. If you do not want to be with this person, do not propose to them that you want to be married to them. You have to really contemplate marriage. You have to really contemplate love. In ancient Greece, there are many forms of love, and the vocation of marriage falls into agape, which is giving yourself up entirely to the other person. In marriage, you are giving yourselves up entirely to each other. You are being fruitful and multiplying by having kids and raising them in the faith. And if you do not want to have kids, you should not be married. If you want to be married, you should want kids. You should want a family. That's what's important. There are people who are married that try to have kids, but they can't have kids. If you can have kids and want to be married, you should have kids. And people are like, oh, but they're expensive. Oh, the diapers. Oh, this and that and that and this. When you are meant to be fruitful and multiply, that is what God commanded us. If we feel called to the vocation of marriage, if we have a girlfriend or are engaged, you are meant to be fruitful and multiply through the vocation of marriage. You aren't meant to just be, oh, we're married but we don't want to have kids. That's not a marriage. That's just two people living with each other that don't want to have kids. There are cases where marriages can be annulled, which there's a difference between an annulment and a divorce. A divorce is saying, okay, the marriage happened, but they're no longer married. An annulment is saying this marriage should have never happened and it does not exist. It never happened and does not exist. There are now annulments I am fine with defending. There are cases where a marriage should without a doubt be annulled. Annulment is the only valid form of divorce in God's eyes. When you are married, you are in the Catholic Church, you are married in God's eyes. If you are married outside of the church, you are not married in God's eyes. If you get eloped, that is not a marriage in God's eyes. That's just a document by some secular government. God's law is above man's law. Man's law does not determine what marriage is. God determines what marriage is. It is between one man and one woman. It is not a homosexual degenerate relationship. It is not some polyamorous whoredom. It is not some harem of a man with a bunch of wives. With marriage, it's so beautiful because the man is supposed to listen and respect the wife, and the wife is supposed to listen and respect the man. They are supposed to be in a mutual agreement. They are supposed to be with each other in hard times and in sickness, in good times and bad times. And marriage, it's so beautiful that two people are willing to give themselves up entirely to each other because they love each other so much. It's just so sad, the high divorce rates and stuff. And in my previous video, where I was talking about hookup culture, I did mention that sleeping before marriage is wrong. Well, if you have sex before marriage, your divorce rate is going to so increase. People are going, And it's such a tragedy that families don't want to stay together. They don't want to raise their kids and die with each other. Which just boggles me that people want to disgrace marriage by saying, oh, it's just two people that love each other so much. Oh, it doesn't matter. Love is love. You know what love is? God is love. The Holy Spirit is love. If you disgrace the vocation of marriage, you disgrace the Holy Spirit. Because love is not just love. Love is much more. A man cannot love a man as the same way a man can love a woman. And a woman cannot love a woman the same way that a woman can love a man. That is moronic, that is idiotic, and that is degenerate, and that is not good. It is heresy to think that a man can be married to a man. A man cannot have kids with a man. In marriage, you're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. That's like the whole point. And then people are like, oh, but religion, oh wow, guess what? You found out something in common with almost every religion. My religion, although it is true, every religion, you have to be fruitful and multiply if you're married. That is the whole point, is to be fruitful and multiply in the vocation of marriage. It's to have a family and to love each other and to love your kids. But to disgrace that, to want to tear it apart just because, oh, you know, the spark just isn't there anymore, is moronic. It's moronic if you think if you're with a high school sweetheart, because if you're with your high school sweetheart or whatever, that is awesome, that is beautiful, and you think that the spark is not there, well, you are still together, so the spark is there. You're just bored because I don't know why, you're just bored. If, you know, you're having a bad time in marriage, if you're arguing with each other, I mean, couples therapy definitely does not help from what I've heard, but you're married to each other, and therefore you need to be with each other in bad times and good times. You know? I mean, just because, oh, the spark isn't there anymore, that's no reason to get an annulment. That's no reason to get a divorce. That's just idiotic. I don't get why people would want to, like, have 3 wives and get... The Muslims, it makes no sense, and the Mormons too, to an extent, to have multiple wives. God says that marriage is between one man and one woman. There's a really good quote in the book of 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓭𝓮. One second. I mean, or Ecclesiasticals, as some will call it. 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓭𝓮 is just such a beautiful book. I honestly need to read it all the way through it because I remember this one quote in it that just really stood out to me. But let me just find it one second and read it to you. Yeah. Well, I found it's about friendship. It's in the book of 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓭𝓮, 6:14 to 6:17. Faithful friends are sturdy shelter. Whoever finds one has found treasure. Faithful friends are beyond price. No amount can balance their worth. Faithful friends are life-saving medicine, and those who fear the Lord will find them. Those who fear the Lord direct their friendship aright, for as they are, so are their neighbors also. So friendship, I mean, marriage is just friendship beyond boundaries, where you're giving yourself up entirely to each other. I believe the part where faithful friends are a sturdy shelter is really important, because if you're married to one another, you are each other's rocks. You're meant to keep each other up. You're meant to be there to support each other. And that's what's important in a marriage. And if you don't do that in marriage, then you're disgracing the vocation of marriage. And you're supposed to be there no matter what for each other in the vocation of marriage. And that's what's so beautiful about it. But it's so stupid that people don't want that. They don't want that. They just want, oh, okay, I just want someone that I can have sex with for the rest of my life. Okay, they're pretty. Oh, they're old now. Okay, I'm gonna divorce them and marry a 20-year-old blonde or something. Which is just so stupid and moronic that someone would want to disgrace marriage like that. I did accidentally turn to the wisdom of King Solomon while searching for this quote in 𝓟𝓵𝓪𝓭, and ironically, I think the description of wisdom is actually really good for marriage as well, from 14 to 16. One who rises early to seek her will have no difficulty, for she will be found sitting at the gate. To fix one's eyes, one's thought on her is perfect understanding, and one who is vigilant on her account will soon be free from care, because she goes about seeking those worthy of her, and she graciously appears to them in their paths and meets them in every thought. Now, this is literally the description of wisdom, and mainly applies to wisdom, but I think it can also really apply to marriage, because if you want marriage, you really have to conquer lust and define truth and have wisdom. Then wisdom also continues. The beginning of wisdom is the most sincere desire for instruction and concern for, and love of her is keeping of her laws, and giving heed to her laws is assurance of immorality, and immorality brings one near to God. So the desire of wisdom leads to a kingdom. So, you gotta be wise and be smart if you want marriage. You really have to want to know truth and have truth and want to know them entirely, and you should want them to know you entirely as well if you desire the vocation of marriage. And that's what's so beautiful about marriage. I mean, I feel personally more called to the vocation of marriage than the priesthood. Then again, I remember when I was in Portland, the Archbishop of Portland said that he never thought he'd become Archbishop. He thought he'd just be a married guy or whatever. But, God called him to the priesthood, and now he's the Archbishop of Portland, so you really never know. But marriage is very beautiful and should never be desecrated. Anyways, make sure to please like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, and comment down below what you want to see. I mean, most of these videos are pre-recorded, but I might try your ideas of stuff to rant about, because honestly I can rant about anything. I mean, if you're in AP history, you basically learn to rant about everything through long essay questions. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.